This episode of the Sceptical Lefties is brought to you by Pizza Express, providing high-quality food, suspiciously memorable meals, and cast-iron alibis since 2001.
Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode.
Yes, the slightly sketchy greeting there.
Yeah.
I can believe this is episode 11 now. We're doing quite well, aren't we?
Yeah, we are doing quite well.
In everything but subscriber numbers.
Yeah, we really need to get those up at this point.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably not a bad idea to actually to see how we went for like a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had some decent feedback on it so far, so we're going to continue. And
what a day we've picked to do
oh
this
yes,
episode.
yes. We decided that we really needed to do this immediately, following the news today. The time of writing being now it's past midnight now, but the 23rd of the 9th, 1:30 in the morning. So you know we've got nothing better to do with our time, and and I'm sure, like most of you, have been watching the developing situation with coronavirus.
Basically, it's our fault if we get COVID. It's our fault if we go into a lockdown.
Yeah, it is. And that's basically the take-home, or our take-home from the speech that Johnson gave. It was literally... I mean, you made the point that it was literally like listening to a party political broadcast.
That was sorry, I'm just going to take a gulp of coffee and then I'll say something incredibly profound and insightful. Hang on.
Fair enough.
Basically, I was watching the Johnson message to the nation tonight, and it was obvious watching and listening to it that this had been written by speechwriters, and the people who were writing his speech were not just concentrating on informing the nation about the latest restrictions regarding coronavirus. This speech had secondary purposes.
No, it was grandiose, wasn't it? It was very much kind of in the very Mark Antony-esque style. Sort of appealing to people's sort of sense of national pride.
Well, do you know what I found really really jarring about the speech tonight? And it's a thing it reminded me of a speech at Tory party conference. Okay, so you know how this Tory party has this ridiculous bollocks, and they get a milk bottle in their underpants for things like Elgar and
Land of Hope and Glory.
and the Battle of Britain and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
There's always a moment in the Tory party conference, in every speech in the Tory party conference, where they have to appeal to the Blitz spirit and use all this stuff. And there was quite a lot of that in Boris Johnson's message tonight. So he kept on talking about this invisible enemy. Like, I really dislike this analogy to a war that he's trying to paint with coronavirus, because
I think he's trying to paint himself as the sort of Churchillian.
Yeah, I mean, that
character.
was the vibe he was going for. But to be honest, the sacrifices we're making in coronavirus, it's not really an appropriate analogy to draw of the Second World War, isn't it? I think, because for the first of all, we're in comparison to the sacrifices that the generation that went through the Second World War made, staying at home and working from home, it's not that big a sacrifice.
No, is it? Fuck. If it were in the context of a war, people would be called to arms, so to speak.
If a film was made of my life during the coronavirus epidemic, it would basically be 90 minutes or 2 hours of me in my underpants and dressing gown, walking to the fridge and back.
Yeah,
that's all it would be.
And why is it that you've literally just checked the fridge 30 seconds before, that there's nothing in there that you want, and yet you keep looking?
It was filled with this kind of stuff about the invisible enemy and our resolve and our resilience.
Yeah.
And as if Spain, France, and Italy, their people weren't resilient too, or any of things like this.
Yeah, they've fallen already. The enemy have fallen. The unseen enemy has already taken our erstwhile allies, and they have capitulated.
And the other
it.
thing that I really didn't like about this appeal to our nation's resolve were these little remarks about our nation's character, our care for one another, and like half the expression this country has of social solidarity, he spent most of his career and his party have spent undermining, like the NHS.
Yeah.
Like, it really, really boils my piss that in 2016 the NHS had simulated a pandemic scenario. Do you know about this?
Go on.
Okay, so in 2016 the NHS held a pandemic scenario.
Oh yes, I had heard. Yes.
I think it was called Operation Signet, I think, which was to basically stress test the NHS for a pandemic. If a pandemic would happen, this is what would happen to the NHS as currently organised. That report, the report that came out of that operation, revealed the NHS was woefully underprepared for a pandemic. That was in 2016. These cunts were in charge at the time.
Indeed they were.
So, where does the buck stop?
The buck stops. Well, I mean, Richard Nixon very famously had a thing on his desk, a little sign on his desk that says "the buck stops here."
No, it was Harry Truman, actually.
It was Truman, was it?
Truman,
I apologise.
yeah.
I've always thought it was.
No, Nixon kept an enemies list.
Yeah, sounds about right. I also heard that, well, it probably wasn't Nixon. Now it could have also been Truman. That another one, he had on the sign facing him on his desk. Those triangular signs. You have the outward facing one, and you had the inward facing, just the other side of it. And on the inner facing one, it had "Nil bastardum carborundum." Don't let the bastards grind you down.
Right. Okay.
I hope that's true. That's fantastic. Yeah. I think we should make those.
Yeah.
That should absolutely. If we ever start doing merch, we absolutely need to make those.
Yeah. No, but this is ridiculous. I mean, I've got to say this because I can't. This is my first thought about the message tonight. Is that speech had many audiences. There's the primary audience, which was the public, but there's also a secondary audience, and they were the parliamentary Tory party, the Tory faithful, and the media, and to some extent the kind of red wall areas of who voted Tory at the last election. But more accurately, I think it was its real secondary audience was the parliamentary Tory party.
I agree.
I mean, if there are bits of that speech which sounded both.
You could have plucked those directly from a conference.
Yeah, you could. That's what I mean. It sounded like a conference speech.
Yeah. So
we haven't even gone on to the outrageous passing of the blame onto the public for the government's failures yet. But this politics, this side of politics is, because I've been saying for a while now, and I think it's become clear as day, that the parliamentary Tory party are rapidly losing confidence in Boris Johnson. Now, a lot of that's because they're greedy bastards,
Well, and the point that the Tory party is very cannibalistic.
Yeah.
They have never shied away from destroying their own.
Yeah.
We're starting to. Well, we've seen that in Labour recently, with the undermining of the previous leader.
Yeah.
And now, and he's also come out with an interesting one, hasn't he? Sir Blair Starmer, as he shall forever be known. He's come out with basically saying that we deserved to lose the 2019 election. That's a nice thing to hear from your leader, isn't it? That's true leadership, that, isn't it?
Yeah. He could have started by thanking the party faithful for trudging through town after town, trying to get the vote out for Labour.
Yeah.
I mean,
regardless, and leave it at that. Regardless.
When you like a Labour leader who the first thing he said in his keynote conference speech was thanking the membership for standing firm against a phenomenal campaign of media vilification.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy Corbyn was vilified appallingly, but the membership were also vilified.
They were.
You know, we were made to.
It was almost like we was going to throw every fucker in the gulag, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
as soon as we gained,
basically,
seized power.
For 5 years we were portrayed as being sexist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, terrorist sympathising bullies and thugs. You know, they basically managed to convince the PLP managed to convince maybe the media or certain sections of the public that we had fucking ovens ready to go the minute we won the election.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of in the back of my mind, but who the hell am I? You know. Well, although to be fair, quite frankly, I would have liked to have seen that done to not literally, but sort of purging of our own membership, as we discussed previously. The idea of having a purge of the party of the naysayers. If you ain't with us, then what fucking good are you?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You either stand with or you fuck off.
Yeah. I totally agree. I don't think the Labour Party will ever get back in power.
Not in this current guise.
No, not with those bastards in Parliament.
I mean,
shall we finish off? Do you want me to? Sorry, do you want to?
No, I was just going to say something along the lines of, I guarantee you, a Blair Starmer rally will not command nearly the sort of the numbers and B, the electric atmosphere that a Corbyn rally did. Stop slamming that down.
Sorry.
Poor people listening on their headphones are gonna be like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine a Keir Starmer starting an electric?
I don't know a Keir Starmer. Yeah. Never heard of him.
Yeah. Can you imagine him starting an electric reaction in everyone, in anyone?
Well, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't. I not even if you plug them all into the fucking outlet.
He's dull, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
do you remember the classic that's now coming back? I'm so happy about the classic satire spitting image with the puppets.
I remember,
yeah. And they deliberately.
Blair's puppet was great.
Yes, it was.
Did you ever see that very, very, very late spitting image?
Yeah.
Blair had a great puppet. It was incredibly wide, shit-eating grin he had.
Yeah. And then you had his wife, who had who continues to this day to have a world-eating grin. It's that fucking huge. It's like she's been hit in the face with an axe.
Yeah. Reminds me. Must post that letter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you remember how it used to be with spitting image when during the sort of late Maggie and then Major years. And the John Major puppet was always it was literally painted and dressed in all over grey, because that is pretty much what kind of a person he was. Just kind of, and that's exactly what Starmer's like.
Actually, I think that's unfair on John Major, frankly.
To be honest, I will give you that, because I begrudgingly, he's one of the very few Tories I actually kind of like. Him and Heseltine.
I always thought, I don't like I don't agree with his politics, but as a person, Major's a kind of better person than Blair in some ways, I think.
Which isn't exactly a high bar to clear, but still.
No. Well, there's certain aspects of John Major where he is kind of more moral than Blair. Like, for example, I can't imagine John Major slurring a government scientist hours after he'd committed suicide in a wood in Oxfordshire. Which is what Tony Blair,
David Kelly.
Yeah, David Kelly. So, for example, Tony Blair and David Kelly, if you believe David Kelly took his own life, I mean, they basically dragged the dead man through the mud, totally ignoring what
Spat on his memory.
Yeah.
You know, his family must have felt absolutely fucking appalled.
Totally ignoring what his family felt.
Yeah.
Or, and totally ignoring what the public felt, frankly.
Yeah.
And, but to be totally honest, I can't imagine John Major doing that.
No, I can't imagine. I can't imagine many other people doing that, because it's not what decent people do.
Yeah.
You mean, he didn't do that with Robin Cook.
But this is one of my big arguments about Blair, and I have this with Labour Party people. I'm saying, look, I can't imagine John Major doing that. I can't imagine Heseltine doing that.
No.
Gordon Brown wouldn't have done
I don't
it.
even think Maggie would have done it, quite frankly. I can't see it.
She probably would have
She's
done
not
it.
exactly. She's obviously, definitely not, flavour of the month, or any month in my calendar. But I think she would have, even Maggie would have had a touch more class than that, and that is saying something.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the problem with Blair fans, is that if a Tory Prime Minister had slurred a man who'd taken his own life in an Oxfordshire wood,
If Johnson did it now.
And bearing in mind, Dr. David Kelly was a man who was so mild-mannered, the air conditioning in the parliamentary committee room had to be turned down.
So you could hear it.
So that the panel could hear it.
I didn't know that, but that's quite adorable in its own way.
Yeah, that's,
that is pretty chill.
That's, if a Tory Prime Minister did that, you wouldn't tolerate it. So why would you tolerate it in a Labour Prime Minister? And I hate that attitude that everything's justified so long as it's a Labour Prime Minister who does it. Well, that's basically the end of politics.
Yeah.
It's not politics at that point, it's a badge club. You draw the line somewhere.
Well, for a long time now, politics has kind of been very much a schoolyard. Yeah, I know you are, but what am I? Kind of.
Yeah.
Ridiculousness, and that's why you have to admire Corbyn so much. He didn't rise to any of that. He stuck to the point and to the facts.
Yeah. And
he didn't raise his voice.
But yeah, we've got to. I mean,
it was classy. Is what it was. It was a touch of class.
Well, that's why people liked him. Because here was a man who was not interested in the Westminster Village. He was a good guy, talking about the issues of the day, and people liked it. And
I couldn't have done that.
He was not interested in, going to parties in Westminster. He genuinely was in politics to help people, and I think one of the most important things we can do on this podcast is to, and it's worth revisiting, just try and tell people about what the Corbyn moment was actually like from people who were there at the time. Because there is a massive revision of history going on at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so pervasive. Keir Starmer did his bit today, and it has to be challenged. People have to remember what it was actually like.
Yeah, because
I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something.
Well, I suppose in a way, revisionism is very much the idea that it's basically gaslighting. Isn't it?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is so important.
Okay.
And if you can find the technology, I'd like you to cut this into the podcast at this moment. I don't know if you have the ability.
Well, it's not so much technology; it's just know-how.
Right.
But I have a guy.
Right. So
nudge, nudge. I have a guy.
Yeah. So Keir Starmer made this fucking dreadful speech today, in which filled with bland platitudes, but he talked about. He talked about a Britain where a hard day's work pays, and it was getting into the area of kind of patriotic blue Labour type of things. But if you actually look at the 2017 election campaign, the election videos the Labour Party had during that election campaign actually go to very similar places, politically, and it was very clear that our election materials were targeted at the Red Wall, were targeted at County Durham and the Midlands and the North. We were speaking directly to these people. We were talking about northern communities and about, making a hard day's work pay.
It would be nice, wouldn't it?
That was actually a line in one 2017 in the general election video, and it's almost as if you were to believe Keir Starmer, it was just a group of Islington terrorist sympathising, anti-Semitic, unpatriotic nutters who live in university towns and London running the show.
But
it
mostly
wasn't.
London.
It wasn't. We absolutely had a message for the entire country. In 2017, we had a manifesto and a message and a promise to all sections of the community and the whole nation. We represented the whole nation, and that is being revised by Keir Starmer now.
Yes.
And he's helped by the Labour apparatus, he's helped by the media, but it has to be resisted.
It does.
It's wrong.
Yeah. And it's all right saying, you know, oh well, you know, this kind of ridiculousness about you know, true opposition and leadership and this, that, and the other. Well, true opposition. If Jeremy wasn't true opposition, I don't know what fucking was or is, because he suffered more defeats, you know, parliamentary defeats on the government, inflicted more parliamentary defeats. Sorry, fucking hell, can't even speak properly. Inflicted more parliamentary defeats than any other opposition leader ever. Fucking ever. And also, one of those defeats just so happened to be the first ever parliamentary vote of a incoming Prime Minister.
I don't think
that has never been done before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's an achievement which has ever been done before.
It hasn't. Corbyn was the first one to do it. And yeah, okay, you can say that, you know, you can say that, well, it wasn't just him, but actually, he's the leader of the opposition. He is the vanguard. He is the flag waver for all of the opposition.
Well, the thing which you won't hear from the Parliamentary Labour Party is Jeremy Corbyn has a fundamentally better understanding of politics than Keir Starmer does. And, you know, that's been proven by the fact that Jeremy has been vindicated. Every time he's been dismissed as wrong by his own party, by the media, by the Tory party, he's ultimately vindicated. A couple of years later, he's vindicated. Unlike Keir Starmer. And the last 6 months have shown us what a shit politician he is.
Yeah.
And something which is brought to light perfectly by what's rapidly developing with the government's lockdown developments. Now, I want to talk about the bungling, yellow-haired, blonde-haired, alcoholic, incompetent eventually. But just to talk about Keir Starmer for a bit.
Yes.
As that, you know, okay, so the furlough scheme, right?
Yeah.
Keir Starmer and Annalise Dodds, you think, watching the development of this during lockdown, after lockdown, and now, you do think, what the fuck are you doing? Like, literally, what are you doing? Because let's take this from the very beginning. So the furlough scheme was a Labour proposal. It was proposed by John McDonnell and the unions. It was reluctantly accepted by a Tory party because they worked out that this was a better solution to either a complete collapse of the economy or basic income, which would, I believe, have, if they had continued to do nothing, demand for basic income would have gone higher and higher.
Furlough is basically like a happy medium between the two extremes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But of course, what it only really serves to do is prove that universal basic income is the way forward.
Yeah.
Because it's proved that it's provable that it works.
Yeah. It's proved that it's some of the things. Well, what it has proved is it may not have settled every argument about basic income, because there are skeptics on the left who are skeptical about basic income, and there's some very interesting arguments about that. But there seems to be some evidence that the basic income's advocates have said things like, it'll give you a better work-life balance. You will feel a better sense of security. You'll be more connected to your family. That's what people have said. Some people
that's all that people fucking want.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who said, for me, lockdown's been a positive experience. I've spent more time with my family. I've got to know my family more. I know that's not everyone's experience of lockdown, but it does show you that the advocates of basic income have at least been partially vindicated.
Yes.
But okay, more interestingly, what happens afterwards? So the fucking Labour Party comes out and it says, we're not in favour of big government spending anymore. We're not in favour of reckless spending commitments, right? Okay, so, and now they made a big hoo-ha of opening up the economy. When the Tory party said they were going to open up the economy against the advice of its own scientists, they were met with enthusiastic reception by Keir Starmer. Indeed, Keir Starmer demanded that children go back to school.
He wasn't asking, he was demanding. Yeah, because probably because he owns some sort of business and he needs the parents back in the office as well.
Yeah, I mean, so, okay, the economy's reopened too early. Mm-hmm. The rate of infections is rising again.
Quite rapidly as well.
The Tory party have said they're not going to consider furlough a second time, but we're also having our lives restricted. Okay, so what that means is, businesses' ability to generate revenue is going to contract. At the same time, the economic floor is being wiped out from under them.
Yeah.
I mean, coming to the place we're recording this episode, my cab driver said that the other day from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning, after about 6 o'clock at night, he made 35 quid. I mean, and that was before that was during a regional lockdown and before the new restrictions came in. Now, what's happening is people's businesses, their ability to generate new revenue is contracting, and the furlough scheme is being taken away. So they're not going to have that additional government support. So what this is a recipe for disaster. People are going to be made redundant, their businesses are going to go bankrupt.
They're going to be made homeless.
And what's the fucking Labour Party doing? The
Labour
Party, I mean, we're going to get it in the shit. And it's amazing. I mean, when I said to a Starmer supporter, working class people and lower middle class people or middle class sympathisers of the Labour Party who maybe work in the public sector, they don't have time for Keir Starmer to play Westminster games.
No.
This is what I'm talking about. This is why all those idiots who said, "Oh, you're just opposing for opposition's sake." No, we're not.
That is kind of a definition.
Yeah, I mean, but it's such disastrous policy.
Yeah.
I mean,
even Germany have had the sense to say that their furlough scheme is going to be running for 2 years.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Germany's a much stronger economy than we are.
Yeah.
They actually make shit.
Yeah.
We don't make shit.
Yeah.
We just talk shit.
Yeah.
As a country.
Yeah. Yeah. I struggle to think of what is the British economy anymore other than banking, shopping, and tourism, and not much else. I can't really think of much beyond that. But it's an absolute disaster, the place that Keir Starmer has led the Labour Party to.
Yeah.
Because as I said to a friend, what do you think is going to happen at the next election? The people on low incomes will say, "Well, fuck off! You didn't help me at all. You sided with the Tories."
Yeah.
And if you are driven wild by the all the flag waving business, you're going to vote Tory anyway.
Of course you are.
You're not going to come around to Keir Starmer's Labour Party.
No.
So you're going to hemorrhage support on your left wing, your right wing. The young are going to stay home. The old won't vote for you. So where's your support going to come from? You're going to have the support of the kind of managerial section of the public services.
Yeah.
People who administer hospitals, administer schools, teachers, doctors, GPs, lawyers, accountants, that kind of the managerial section of the workforce, and fuck all else.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that if one takes the overall cost of the furlough scheme that we've had so far, for that same price plus change back, we would have been able to implement pretty much the entirety of the core promises of 2017 under Jeremy Corbyn. We would have had a better NHS. We would have had more council housing. We would have had, what's the community banks? What was it? Was that what they were called?
I think they were called Regional Investment Bank.
Regional Investment Bank. That was it. Yes, we would have had all these great things, and still had change in our pocket.
Yeah.
And and a better wage as well.
Yeah.
A proper living wage. So all of this ridiculousness about it would have been so much worse under Corbyn, which is it's just like I don't know. I saw a great meme today, a few frames from The Simpsons. Where the one where where Bart has the catchphrase. I didn't do it.
Is this Simpsons meme?
Simpsons meme. Well, yeah, it's a political Simpsons meme.
Right.
There's an episode where he comes up with this catchphrase. I didn't do it, and he gets all sort of local fame about it, and then he gets really pissed off that everyone's always wanting him to say it, and they're all gathered around him like say the line, Bart. I didn't do it, and they'll go, yay! And he's like, say it, Tory voter, say the line. It would have been worse under Corbyn. Yay! He said it!
No, they are. It's great that you can laugh
in the
midst of the shit show.
You have to.
I mean, I saw another Simpsons GIF. It was a GIF actually, rather than a meme. I can't remember what episode it's from, but it's maybe when. Is it when Krusty the Clown is auditioning sidekicks, a replacement for Sideshow Bob?
Okay, yeah. Go on.
So Keir Starmer made a really kind of stupid, dull remark, and Krusty the Clown looks in amazement, takes the cigarette out of his mouth, and goes, "What the hell was that?"
Oh, I know what that was. It was when. It was that episode's actually when they introduced the Poochie character into Itchy and Scratchy. The Homer voices. What the hell was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then that great picture you showed me today, it was a close-up of Keir with Keir Starmer writing, and he's still got the lid on the fucking pen.
Oh, this is just incredible.
He doesn't even know how to pen.
You've got to laugh.
Or even how to pretend to pen.
You've got to laugh at this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the man who we were all assured was a smooth media operator. I would encourage everyone to go to a Facebook group called Peep Show Quotes.
Send me the picture after this, and I'll throw it up on here for the good people.
Find that awesome photograph of
Starmer.
Keir Starmer. So Keir Starmer's done a photo shoot where he's at a desk and he's sort of concentrating on government papers in that photograph politicians like to be photographed in there.
Yeah.
And he's holding a pen as if he's going through his red box, ticking yes or no on various things. But he's got the lid on the pen. So someone has obviously shoved a pen in his hand, told him to sit down and look like he's ticking them off, but it hasn't occurred to him to actually take the lid off the pen.
It's brilliant.
Literally.
I want that to be Starmer's equivalent bacon sandwich moment.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. That's his exact one. Because all right, not who looks sexy when they eat? Fucking no one, apart from maybe Nigella Lawson.
Yeah.
No one else looks sexy when they eat. All right, and everyone leapt on Ed Miliband because he took a really sort of huge, almost a bit more than he could he could actually bite off, wasn't it? He was just taking a big sort of, got this great big fucking man-witch. And he's trying to take this bite out of it, and he didn't look great doing it. But again, who does?
No one does. Well,
no one fucking does.
I mean,
he would have probably looked better if he tried to shove it up his arse.
Yeah.
I imagine the facial expression would have been much the same.
Yeah. No, but my God, I mean, the thing that's riles me about Starmer, and it's not just his politics, although I hate them. He is so unbelievably dull.
He is.
At least John Major. John Major's actually quite interesting. He's got something about him. He likes sport.
Yeah.
He likes women. He reads Anthony Trollope, if you can believe that.
Probably. Yeah.
He's interested in money. He has a sense of humour. So he's actually a well-rounded person.
Well, given his certainly given his affair with Edwina Curry, we certainly know that he's a big fan of Trollops.
No, but John Major's, John Major has. There's a hinterland to John Major. Fuck knows what Keir Starmer gets up to in his spare time.
I imagine I imagine when he gets home, he doesn't even go to sleep. He just sits down in his armchair and waits.
Yeah, like literally. Do you know one thing outside politics that Keir Starmer's into?
Well, only the fact that he was a lawyer before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know anything that he's into, and quite frankly, I couldn't give a toss.
Yeah. But I mean, Jesus Christ, would it fucking kill you to at least make a joke? At least, even if it's just a politician's joke, or to try and be a bit witty or clever,
or just seem a bit interesting. I mean, even Gordon Brown made that sort of attempt. Oh, I really appreciate the Arctic monkeys.
Yes, but actually, that he came across. The thing about Gordon, right, is he recovered from that quite well.
He did, yeah.
I felt,
Yeah, everyone kind of went, really? But it's like, that was it. That's all it was.
Yeah. He said, I am more interested in the future of the Arctic circle than I am in the future of the Arctic monkeys. and I think people knew he said, yeah, I'm a politician. I don't know who they are. I've heard probably about 10 seconds of one song.
Yeah.
I have to know who they are because I'm Prime Minister and they're a pop cultural phenomenon. So I kind of.
He said he liked the band, didn't he? I mean, he did say that he listened to them.
But that's Gordon. He recovered it, and he was Gordon. He was getting in touch with the real Gordon. Fuck me, Keir Starmer's he's so unbelievably wooden.
I mean, up until then, it was Gordon Brown that was very much the sort of, the boring bloke.
Yeah, but actually, there's a really important lesson here for politics and for politics, okay, and it's this. Gordon was also a very dull man, but and this is the key lesson. The problem with Keir Starmer is he is too cautious. He is over-cautious. He's forensic. He is terrified of making a mistake, and you cannot succeed in politics unless you're prepared to make a mistake. I mean, Jeremy, bless him, it could have all gone horribly badly in 2017.
Well, he wasn't afraid of making a mistake, though, was he? I mean, okay, he had that gaffe with. He had that gaffe when he tried to high five. Who was it?
Diane Abbott.
No, it wasn't Diane Abbott. No, he tried to high Emily Thornberry, and accidentally, he wasn't properly looking, and he thought she was up for the high five. She wasn't, and he accidentally just thrust his hand forward. It ended up on her tit.
Well, the thing is,
it's an innocent mistake, though, isn't it?
The 2017 manifesto would have never been arrived at via focus groups. Can you imagine trying to focus group that thing?
Fuck. Jesus.
Okay. No, but I tell you about Gordon. Right. One of the only reason that Gordon managed to get neck and neck with David Cameron towards
because he was the biggest engine on the island of Sodor.
Beg your pardon?
It's Thomas the Tank Engine reference. Go on.
Oh no.
Sorry. I had to have.
No,
Sorry.
but okay, so right. David Cameron challenged Gordon Brown to a TV debate, right?
Yes.
Thinking there's absolutely no chance that Brown is going to accept this for obvious reasons, you know. And everyone was astonished when Gordon said, "Yeah, bring it." And but actually, from Gordon Brown's point of view, it was a really, really smart move.
It was.
Because even though everyone focused on Nick Clegg,
They did, yes.
and actually Gordon did very, very well in those debates. People forget this now. He did extremely well, particularly the third one, where he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he clearly had some coaching by this point and got into the swing of it.
But Gordon decided to gamble. I'm going to gamble on this, and hopefully Cameron will be exposed as this shallow, wishy-washy person he really is. And the more prime ministerial, the more serious, the more sober I'll be seen. Now, regardless of the Cleggasm.
And I have to admit, at that point, I was very much, in favour of Mr. Long-Legged Cleggy Weggy.
Yeah, but it worked. It absolutely worked.
Yeah.
Cameron's performance completely tanked.
Yeah.
Something like 9% of people polled thought he did well. Yeah, he was literally the only person who thought he did well in the whole country was David Cameron's mother.
Yeah.
The only point. So the point is, Gordon at that point stuck his neck out and decided to gamble on something.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it didn't work out ultimately, but it was a step forward. He got somewhere. He didn't achieve his objective and win the election, but forward progress was made. And the trouble is, Keir Starmer just can't do that. He's so terrified of putting a foot wrong, he can't put a foot forward.
Exactly.
And that is such a liability.
All he ends up doing is moving sideways all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I guess like a crab. So if someone could do a picture of Keir Starmer as a crab, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Can't ever put a step forward. It's true. We've made fuck all progress. In fact, quite the opposite, really.
Yeah. We're not actually doing very well. We're only
really
doing really very well in the Westminster bubble. We're only really doing well in the Westminster bubble. Outside there, we're not doing well at all. I mean, when you consider the shit show the Tories handling coronavirus, we're 7 points behind? That's,
That shouldn't even happen.
Yeah, over 2.5 years ago, we were at 40% and ahead of the Tories. We were 40%, they were 42%. Okay, so you got 40% of the vote and you're 2% behind the government. That's a fantastic place to be, just before a general election.
Yeah.
And now basically the Westminster bubble are creaming themselves because we're 7 points behind. We're neck and neck supposedly, but that's only comparing the leaders.
Yeah.
The parties are actually, there's a bigger gap between the parties.
Yeah.
You only get a neck and neck poll when you say which one do you think would be the better leader, Starmer or Johnson? Which one do you like more? Which one looks more prime ministerial? These kind of presidential style questions. The actual parties, there's quite a more significant gap between Labour and the Tories.
Yeah, and and that's entirely the wrong question to ask as well. Who do you like? Who looks the part? That's ridiculous. That is a completely. You cannot draw any inference from that at all on competence.
Yeah, well, people didn't like Jeremy before they saw him on television, before they saw him on the campaign. Then they liked him.
Yeah, not enough, unfortunately, but shit happens.
And of course the Prime Minister is going to look more prime ministerial.
Because he's the Prime Minister.
Yeah, no one looks prime ministerial until they're Prime Minister.
Of course not. Yeah.
Of course. It's just, anyway.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, but.
I'd hate to be stuck in a lift with Starmer.
Oh Jesus, yeah. I think I would rather be stuck in a lift with a fart than Starmer.
I'd rather be stuck in a lift with fucking Rolf Harris than.
And at the age of 10.
No, literally. I mean, I cannot tell you, man. He's so unbelievably boring.
Yeah, he is. And so it looks like, going back to what we started with at the top of the show, there's going to be new sets of restrictions placed on us all.
I really wish I hadn't
actually,
said that.
no. Why?
I really wish I hadn't said that thing about Rolf Harris. Can we edit that out of the programme?
No, we don't edit. We don't do editing.
Yeah,
it is what it is. No, you did.
No, I didn't mean that Keir Starmer was as bad as Rolf Harris. He isn't as bad as Rolf Harris.
No, well, I don't. I stand by my line about a fart. No. Anyway. Yes. So you've rather broken my train of thought. So yeah, the new restrictions that are being placed upon us.
Yeah.
So the major headliner one is the so-called Rule of Six. You are not allowed to gather anywhere, whether it be outdoors or indoors, in a group of more than 6. However, children are exempt from this. Grandparents are exempt from this, which is great, because those are the two age groups that you need to actually fucking protect, the extremely young and the extremely old. You know, now next they'll probably say, oh, and also people with AIDS, they don't need to worry. You know, people, anyone immunocompromised, they're fine. Cancer patients, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, grouse shooting's exempt.
And that was where I was coming to next. Yes, it should apply to everyone, but it fucking doesn't, because you can actually meet up in a great big party of innumerable size if you're going grouse shooting.
That's great, isn't it? You can tell they're just sitting there in Westminster and sticking one big finger at the public and saying, yeah, fuck you.
Yes. Well, I mean, they're probably thinking that the glorious 12th will be coming up soon. The grouse season, the first day of the grouse season.
Right, okay.
And it's a very, very big shooting date. Everybody who is anybody who is a sufficiently large amount of toffee attached to their face will take part in the glorious 12th, or is it 8th? So it doesn't matter. Glorious 12th, I'm sure. Anyway, so basically, if you want to circumvent this rule of 6, all you need do is gather in your large group, and one of you has a shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could keep it in the case, and you should keep it in the case.
I've got a great idea. Just a great idea for pubs. Why don't you just get one? You know those blackboards pubs write on in pink, yellow, and green chalk.
Yeah.
Saying live TV inside.
Yeah.
I think what you need is to put one of those outside a pub and say grouse shooting inside, arrow inside the pub.
Oh fuck yes, that'd be brilliant.
That's a great idea,
Yeah, grouse shooting.
Grouse shooting, yeah.
Yeah, and then and then actually what it is just someone has set up an Atari with a copy of Duck Hunt on the big telly. That would be a good way around it, actually. I like that a lot. I really fucking like that. Or people just hand you a fake shotgun as you walk in. You just get a fake shotgun. Just say, yeah, if anyone asks you grouse shooting, massive party, there's, what is it, 20 of you? All right, so every, I don't know, 2 or 3 of you, there you go, gun. They're fake, don't give them real guns, obviously. Alcohol and firearms should never be mixed. But, it's a good way to circumvent the rules and just tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Because it's obvious, just by making that exemption alone proves that the whole lot of it is bollocks.
Yeah.
Utter bollocks, not designed to help anybody.
Well, do you know that the this is very interesting. Do you know that the House of Commons had a shooting club in it until about 2010?
Oh, no, I didn't. It doesn't surprise me, but
yeah.
They probably fox hunted as well with the dogs and everything. I'm sure there must have been a parliamentary hunt.
Yeah, of course.
Jeremy Hunt, the world famous spelling error. The great bit as well is the idea. One of the restrictions is that pubs are now on a 10 p.m. curfew, so they have to shut at 10. Now, it's good that they did that, and I'll tell you for why. Because everybody knows, and this is just scientific fact. Everyone knows that coronavirus cannot attack you before 2200.
Yeah.
You are fine, basically, and that's the whole point of lockdown. Especially these localized lockdowns that they've been doing as well. Like in the Bradford area, for example, they've been under one for about another 5 weeks now, and the supposed lockdown. But all it is just that you can't go around to other people's houses, which just goes to prove that also another corona science fact.
Up to fail.
Yeah, but another corona science fact by that logic means that you are perfectly safe from COVID if you are somewhere that has a cash register.
Yeah. This is incredibly Machiavellian of the government. I mean, I know Bradford very well. I can tell you now, there is absolutely no way of knowing that Bradford was under lockdown. And to be honest, the rules of this lockdown, inverted commas, were as such, it was intended not to be a proper lockdown. So, for example, about 4 days ago, actually, I was celebrating my birthday in a trendy wine bar in Bradford.
Naturally.
Now, you wouldn't believe that Bradford has trendy wine bars.
No, you wouldn't.
But it has.
I mean, sort of basically a kebab shop that does alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, who needs Monte Carlo, Paris, or London when you've got Bradford?
Yeah. You know? I mean, I have two of my best friends that live in Idle at the moment.
Yeah.
And Idle itself does not have, raised levels, but places surrounding it do, like Eccleshill, for example, quite close by. So it's again, this local lockdown has been implemented across the board when actually it should be not so much region, but like, I don't know what you would call them, but like sectors of a city that go under different names, such as Idle, Eccleshills, these sorts of things. It should be those individual bits. Rather than just the whole of this city.
Yeah, like sort of like micro lockdown.
Micro lockdown.
Like really
not a mini lockdown, a micro lockdown.
Yeah, like really, really localized lockdowns.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, no one was I say no one was furloughed. There were the macro economy had opened up again. So bars, pubs, clubs were open. They had workers in them. Wearing PPE. The trendy wine bar I was drinking at was having a woman with PPE serving me wine. I was drinking something really hip and trendy. I was drinking orange wine.
Yeah. My dad once made parsnip wine, if you can believe such a thing exists.
No.
Apparently it does.
Really?
That sounds to me like the worst thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Orange wine's quite interesting actually. It's a bit like brandy, but anyway.
Probably, yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
So pubs, clubs and shops were open and staffed. Supermarkets were open and being staffed, obviously. The primary school was back, or the schools were back. And perhaps the most glaringly obvious is a county-wide lockdown is meaningless if the counties which border you are operating as normal.
Yes.
Because people will just go in and across the county line. What's the point?
It sounds almost like an episode of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
We can't touch him now, he's gone over the county line.
Yeah, no, but so basically the only feature of lockdown that you could possibly say was the social distancing, the one-way system in shops, and not being able to eat other households. It wasn't a proper lockdown.
No.
But I think it's becoming clear I think this is, we shouldn't rule this out as might have been the government's plan all along, to introduce these localized lockdowns in inverted commas, which are so meaningless.
Yeah.
Everyone will just go about their daily lives during these so-called lockdowns anyway.
Yeah.
Which would enable the Tory government
To
to
blame
point the
them.
finger and say, look, you're not following the rules.
Yes.
Now, to which the real answer is, well, what fucking rules?
Yeah.
You know, and but I am angry about this, because this shifts responsibility away from government and back onto the people.
Yeah.
And we don't elect politicians to say, well, you know, when they're faced with a difficult problem, to pass the blame onto the public.
Yeah, it's not about we don't want them finger pointing, we want them owning it.
For Tory politicians, it's a very tempting thing to do, because they can basically turn neighbour against neighbour.
Which is like well, politics 101 really, especially in this country.
Yeah.
Very much divide and rule.
Yeah, well, if you've got 30% of rural dingbats who will vote for you no matter how mental you become.
I'm a rural dingbat.
Yeah, no, you're rural, but you're not a dingbat.
Well, don't know about that.
No, not really. No, not really. But you're not the kind of person I mean. What I mean by that is...
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
It's about 30% who will always vote Tory.
Yeah.
And they will... It never ceases to amaze me how that 30% never blame the government.
No.
They always give the government the benefit. It's always other members of the public. For example, for years it was people allegedly scamming the benefits system.
Yeah.
And then it was allegedly
Dem immigrants.
the immigrants. Then it was allegedly refugees.
Yeah.
And it was Scottish people for a while. Do you remember that?
I do, yes.
And now the next thing is going to be.
But to be fair, it's very rare to see a person of working age who is Scottish not in England.
Yeah. I mean, and the next thing that's going to be is young people are going to be blamed for bringing another lockdown on, for breaking lockdown, and people on furlough are going to be blamed for trashing the economy.
Yeah.
And the problem with Labour, when it goes along with the Tories with this narrative, is it basically gets the Tories off the hook.
Yeah.
It's not the fault of people, it's the fault of central government. The central government should live up to its responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know, I don't give a fuck how difficult it is. I don't give a fuck about what pressures they're under. You're the government. You're elected. Fucking solve it. Find a solution.
Yeah.
Don't fucking whinge about it.
That's
Certainly
it.
Don't fucking
And
blame the public.
Chief whinger at the moment in the last few days, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Apparently, we're all carping on about it. We're carping on about all this furlough and lockdown and this, that, and the other. And so we're not allowed to voice our discontent whatsoever. We have to just accept our lot and get on with it like the good little serfs that we are, according to Mr. Rees-Mogg. Just when the fuck will will Queen Victoria just appear out of the fucking vortex and snatch him back to where he belongs? It's an absolute fucking farce that man even exists, quite frankly. But let alone is ever given a fucking voice. But anyway, so because we obviously don't really agree with Mr. Rees-Mogg, we shall carp on.
Yeah.
And we shall keep carping until they finally get sick of it and say, all right, we'll fucking do something then.
Yeah.
Thank you, at long fucking last. You're actually going to get off your ass and do the fucking job we're paying you to do.
Yeah.
Paying you way too much to do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And poor Boris.
Oh yeah.
Poor
This is
dainty little Boris.
This is astonishing.
Yeah, doesn't know how he can possibly afford to maintain his standard of living and afford a nanny on his 150 grand a year wage that he gets as First Lord of the Treasury, i.e. Prime Minister. I mean, my heart really does bleed pure piss for Mr. Johnson. It made me so sad. It made me so sad.
I know.
I couldn't. It was just too much emotion. Too much emotion. Even just thinking about it now. Yeah. 150k a year.
But that just shows you
That
how
would-
insane. But this is why the Tory party makes these has these ludicrous ideas like, let's take away the furlough scheme in the middle of a pandemic. Because, to them, £150,000 isn't enough to live on. But if that's your mentality, how on earth are you going to empathise with the other 75% of the population who are on £24,000, roughly speaking?
Roughly average, yeah.
Roughly. Maybe
And
a
I'm
bit
not.
lower.
And I'm not on that.
Maybe a bit lower than that.
Yeah.
22, 20, something like that.
Yeah, I'm on about 22, roughly, give or take.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that that we're being that you would even consider saying that in public. If that's not enough, then as you say, how are we supposed to think? And also in that case, then maybe furlough should have been paying 100%, not 80.
Yeah.
And also bumping it up anyway, and it also proves that we need a rise in wages, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If we all had overnight, if we were all bumped up to 200k.
The furlough scheme, and this is, it's not the primary reason. I think if I was to guess, I would say the immediate reason the Tory MPs want the furlough scheme to come to the end is the taxes that have got to go up to pay for it, and also they're terrified of their businesses. Because as I've said before, there's a financial arrangement you can get for office space, where effectively it allows your private sector business to have what is an equivalent of a mortgage.
Yes, I've seen this.
I can't remember what the actual legal thing is called. Will Hutton will probably be able to tell you, but it's incredibly financially lucrative to a lot of Tory MPs. And they basically, if people are working from home, your office is just has gone from being pre-COVID, has gone from being a huge financial asset to in the middle of a pandemic, when everyone's on furlough, it's a huge liability because it's sitting there in the middle of the city and it's just draining all your money away.
Not only is it a liability, it's also a complete anachronism.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, aside from that, the greedy bastards don't give a shit about you and me. They just want to make money, and we all have to trudge back to COVID, invest in miserable workspaces, and so be it. But also the genies. A lot of the ideas the Corbyn movement's been talking about, basic income, shorter working week, they're out of the bag now. Home working, for example. I've spoken to a lot of people who love home working. I
wish we could do our job from home. That would be fantastic.
Do our job from home,
unfortunately not. No, as much as I've tried to compute in my head the various ways in which it could be done, unfortunately, no.
Actually, when you think about it, if you can work from home, it's a much better idea to do it if you can. Like, you're not breathing fumes on the commute every day. You're not pretending to work, which is one of the things that work does. A lot of the time you're not actually working, are you? You're making coffee, you're chatting with your colleagues, you're doing boring menial tasks which aren't important.
Or sometimes aren't even in your job description.
You're doing things that aren't in your job description. And also a lot of work is actually
picking up other people's fucking slack. I hate that so much.
But it's also helping. The thing I hate probably more than that actually is helping other people get promoted. So it's always a manager who's got some fucking bullshit idea on how to improve a business or improve a service, and does this implements these ridiculous fucking changes. And you realise that you're not actually making a better quality service or a better quality business. You're actually just helping someone get a foot up the ladder.
And you always find it that these new processes that these tryhards and indeed blowhards try to implement are in direct contravention of Murphy's first law. If it ain't broke, don't fucking fix it.
And of course it would be much harder for managers to get their employees to do bullshit things for their own in promotion prospects if they're at home.
Yes.
You know, because how on earth can you boss people around if they're at home? So you're living well, you're eating better, because you're going to eat better when you're at home anyway.
Yes.
You are seeing more of your family, you are breathing better air, you can be more productive. Your downtime, your balance between downtime and productivity will naturally be better because you're not pretending to be productive. You will be productive.
Yes.
You know, it makes so much sense to work from home. And you know.
But then the other people who complain are the ancillary sort of businesses. Not so much who you directly work for, but the people that you visit on the way to and from work, such as coffee shops.
I hated that fucking advert on the tube. Did you see this?
Refresh my memory.
Oh, I'll get it out for you. It was a load of bollocks. It was a government advert to try and encourage people back into the office by giving them sort of, you know, tantalizing memories of working in the office. I'll try and get it for you.
Do you remember the coffee run?
Yeah, do you remember the commute? Going to commute every day.
The Greg steak bake.
Yeah. Coffees, pens, you know, chats to your neighbour. Like, fucking no. No one's ever sat outside a railway station where a vagrant has just vomited on a cold Monday morning and felt, you know what, there's no place I'd rather be.
Love the smell of.
I can smell.
Love the smell of vomit in the morning. Smells like work.
Yeah. I'm so glad to be going to work. I'm standing in, you know, where someone's vomited on a Friday night. You know?
Yeah, exactly. The classic pavement pizza.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like a bit of that?
Who likes coming into fucking passive aggressive emails from?
Oh well, as you know very well, I've had my own problem with passive aggressive emails lately. Yeah, and it's literally like the worst.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you fucking turn on, you come in the office, you turn on your computer, you see one of these fucking emails that are just some snidey bastard, sort of trying to one up you. And what you really want to do is reach down the Ethernet cable and strangle them in front of their fucking kids. Because it's like, fuck you, bruh. I ain't got time for this bollocks.
Yeah.
You know, that is not why I come to work. And now, you know, from the first minute of me arriving, you have completely fucked my entire working day going forward. I will now be in a fucking shitty mood, becoming more and more stressed, because I'm wasting my time stewing about this stupid fucking email.
Which is, of course, what the objective of the exercise was all the time.
Yes.
That's the tube advert I mean. So I've just shown.
Okay, I'll read it out for the benefit of the tape. So it's hearing an alarm, putting on a tie, carrying a handbag, receptionists. That's a bit insidious, that isn't
that's
it?
A bit,
Receptionists.
That's a bit life on Mars, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. But I think it's more just sort of lovely heiress, missus, you know, that kind of thing. Caffeine-filled air. I'm pretty sure that's not an actual thing. Taking a lift. What? Oh yeah, because that's an adventure, isn't it? But, yeah, all right. If you're Charlie in the Chocolate Factory in the Great Glass Elevator, then fair enough. But no one enjoys being in a lift. Seeing your second family. Well, that's just a daily occurrence for Boris. Water cooler conversations. Yeah, complaining about other colleagues. Yeah. Proper bants, where you then get pulled in by HR and disciplined.
Yeah.
The boss's jokes. The boss is a joke. I think that's a spelling mistake. Plastic plants. Yeah, they're always fantastic. Office gossip. The ruiner of marriage.
Yeah.
The ruiner of marriages and relationships. Yeah. Those weird carpets. What? Face-to-face meetings. No, I hate those. I hated those before COVID. Not having to make lunch. So I can go and get a burger. That's so much better for me.
Yeah, have you ever gone to the petrol station and got a sandwich and a packet of crisps and thought, you know what? I'm really glad that I don't have to make this.
Yeah.
This makes my day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always.
That is such a good thing. Like I just said, going out and getting a big fuck off burger, because that is so much better for you, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I'm just to pause you there, Fred, about the sandwiches. Like, wait a minute. A sandwich is not a fucking meal anyway.
No, and yet they call it a meal deal, don't they?
Yeah.
Just because you get a bottle of drink and a sack of taties with it.
I mean, obviously our place of work is not like this.
Thankfully.
Do you know what some high-flown businesses do to their employees? They don't have a break for lunch. They have a girl who goes around with a basket and says, "What kind of sandwich do you want?" and gives them a sandwich while they're at their desk. So wait a minute. If you're one of those employees, don't you ever think, you know what? I'm breaking my balls for this huge company, and I had the indignity of having my lunch thrown at me.
But then again, they have an interesting system in India called the tiffin delivery people. And a tiffin is a small tin box full of grub, and it's a huge business in India, and they pride themselves on their punctuality. These guys will load up with crates of these tiffin tins, and they will go into all the office blocks around the city at breakneck speed, because no one knows how to drive safely in India. It just doesn't happen. And everyone, for I think it's only like 5 rupees, which to us is fuck all, like literally it's pence, gets this tin of food. And then swaps the today's one for yesterday's empty one, and they take it back and refill them wash them and refill them for the next one. That's a fucking great idea. Why don't we have that here? Why don't we have that in this country? That sounds like a fucking good idea. It really does. And everyone's getting a fresh, hot meal made that day.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That would be one of the greatest ways to improve the health of Britain's office workers, because a sedentary lifestyle, if you are one of these people that likes their grub, like me good self, if you're now having this sort of sedentary lifestyle where you're just sat in front of a computer, then and then all of a sudden you forget that actually you're still eating like 5,000 or 6,000 calories or whatever, probably less than that, I would imagine, but me probably not so much, but yeah, it's one of those. So if someone were to come in and say, for a couple of quid, here's a lovely pasta salad every day or something like that, I'd be like, fucking A, fantastic. Don't leave me to my own devices, because I will make the wrong choice, as will many other people. Many other people. Anyway, that's a completely different caveat, but that was an interesting point. The other parts of this thing that the sort of rose-tinted nostalgia of the office, CCing and BCCing. Accidentally.
Well, actually, that BCC is the thing you click when you want to include someone in the email, but you can't see them. The person who receives the email can't see them. Okay, so basically...
Blocked carbon copy? What does it mean?
No, I can't remember.
I know CC means carbon copy.
Blocked carbon copy, I'd imagine.
Maybe, yeah.
No, but if you want to... If someone at work is being a real cunt and wants to drop you in the shit,
yes,
they email you and BCC the manager in.
Oh,
so the manager can spy on your emails.
That's very insidious, that.
Yeah.
Fuck me, that's awful. I don't like that.
It's never happened to me.
That we know of.
Well.
That's going to make me fucking question it now,
Surely you would.
Well, thankfully.
Work it out, wouldn't
well,
you?
thankfully I haven't. Thankfully I don't reply to the nasty emails. I take a better approach, because I don't want to reply when I'm angry, because I will ruin that person's mental health.
You can.
I will literally make them cry.
And you can possibly have some negativity brought back on yourself if you're
Absolutely,
too
and that's
angry,
exactly. And yeah, my anger tends to go tends to have 2 settings, 0 and 11.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, the other things, accidentally hitting reply all.
You can do that.
You couldn't do that from home. That's impossible. Come on, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
You can't do that at home. Hearing buzzwords. Yeah, you see them. You know, you won't hear a buzzword, but you can read it on an email, can't you, at home? Leaving early for a cheeky afternoon in the sun. If you're working from home, you can absolutely do that. You can, in fact, you can leave you can leave your quote unquote desk at any time you fucking like. And then underneath, disinfect surfaces we use throughout the day, so we can do it all again tomorrow. The little things we do help protect the little things we love. That's playing fast and loose with the word love there. Keep protecting. That is so cringe-inducing. I think maybe we need to make this a segment.
Did you see the thing I put in Facebook? Some wag on Twitter had rewritten the whole thing in much more accurately, and I'm going to find it, and I want you to read
Is it kind of in the similar vein to what I put, but to my little running commentary there? Yes, I'll read them out for comparison, and let's see where the overlap is.
I'll find it, mate. Just carry on chatting amongst yourselves.
I shall chat amongst myself. So, this idea that the office is somehow this kind of amazing venue where miracles happen and where you can meet exciting new people, rather than actually you are forced to tolerate a bunch of people who have really annoying habits, and then and eventually get sick and tired of them, and then when they leave, you sort of look and go, thank fuck for that. Anyway, so I see you presented me now with the rewritten one. Here we go. So the more accurate one. Mumbling, fuck the Tories, under your breath. Oh God, yes, I missed that. No, because I haven't done it for like 5 minutes. Kicking the printer, because our printer is a piece of shit. Switching screens to a spreadsheet when your boss walks past. Yep. They ain't going to find out that I'm trying to order a fleshlight on eBay. Using the eyes emoji on Slack when Sue in admin coughs. 40-minute dumps. Oh yeah, you've got to have a power dump. Any dump that is taking place at work is a power dump. You've got to do it. It's just like, you're being paid to shit. Tea bags in the sink. Well, thankfully we don't. So thankfully no one here does that, but that is people are fucking disgusting.
That's the
people never washing their cups or their plates that they've used.
That's not the worst end of the staff kitchen by any means.
Absolutely isn't. No. Lunch at your desk. Ants everywhere. Catching the Death Express to a grey building in Slough. Fuck me, that's a great quote. I love that.
But that's not joking. I mean, some of the air you can inhale on the commute is really shockingly poor.
And even in the office, because the very next piece here is air conditioning in winter. Meetings that should have been a fucking email. Gareth. I guess this guy had an axe to grind with Gareth. Answering "How was your weekend?" 50 times to your colleague that you couldn't give a flying shit how your weekend, but couldn't give a shit how your weekend was. And blue tack, yes. And then get in, loser. We're washing our hands and getting Pret back on its feet. Now fire up PowerPoint before we furlough your legs. Yes, that is far better. It really is. I love that. That's fantastic. Especially the Grey Death Express to Slough.
But that's what you feel like on a Monday morning. Because we've all had those times at work. Because there's times when I've looked forward to coming to work and things.
I do if I know who I'm working with.
But but there are times you think, you're getting the Death Express on a morning. You think, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I've only got one life and I'm fucking going to this fucking place. You know, it's
Yeah.
just.
Especially because you have quite a commute now, as do I, in
Yeah.
fact. Yours is longer than mine.
Well, I don't mind the journey
just the commute, that is.
anymore, because it's one of the few times I can actually be alone to just listen to some private music or a podcast or something. You know?
Like this one.
Yeah, but mind you, that it would be nicer if I could see people's face. I'm not going to deny it. I don't.
Yeah,
like the
human
face.
contact is important.
It
is. It's very important to our emotional stability.
I know coronavirus is very important and stuff, but I'm not going to lie. I do miss not seeing people's faces, seeing people's faces.
Yeah, I get that, and not being able to do just basic things like the classic bro hug. Maybe not so appropriate at work for the vast majority of the people, because there aren't many people at work that you would actually actively want to bro hug. But just in general, or meet up with a friend, it's quite often with a very close female friend, you'll give them a little hug and whatever, or if they're French, they do the mwah thing on each cheek, and then well, go on.
What's the worst kind of colleague you can imagine about work?
Well, I don't want to name him, but
not an individual, but the worst kind of colleague.
I think the worst kind of colleague. That's interesting, actually. Do you have yours in mind? Because you'll have to come back to me, I think.
I'm trying to think.
Well, have a think about it. I think. No, to be honest, the worst kind of colleague is the people who constantly have to go on about their fucking family. No one cares. No one cares about your family. They just don't. You've got all the little photographs of the kids on the desk.
I go on about mine a bit.
See, but to me, you don't. And this is before I know that. But we're friends anyway, so that's different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if you.
You're talking about, say.
It's just the randomer in the office.
The woman. I mean, I say the woman. I know that's sexist. I shouldn't say
totally.
That, but it can be men as well. But in my experience, it tends to be women.
It
does.
They
just post like drivel.
Yeah.
My son took his first steps today. Yeah, couldn't give a toss.
Yeah, exactly.
Drivel. Or they put photos, of them, dressed as a superhero in a cape. I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah.
If you've actually got something interesting to say about them, like how they did in their A-levels, or they've just won an award, or done something impressive, yeah, of course I'd be interested.
Yeah.
Or if something terrible was to happen and you spent all night in hospital, of course I'd be interested.
Yeah. But the achievements tend to be something much more mundane, like they used the big boy potty today.
Yeah. Like I know someone who is a professional singer, and so she's used to self-promotion and things, and she projects herself through her social media.
Oh dear.
And you can tell she's got it's something that comes from her habit of having to promote herself all the time, because she's self-employed.
Yeah.
Self-employed creative artist, So she ends up posting things about on Facebook, which, with the best will in the world, I just find incredible. Just really, really hard to do, because they're just not. They're totally
not interesting.
Not interesting.
Yeah.
Totally meaningless.
Yeah.
Don't post for the sake of posting.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that in general on Facebook, and not even with people, doing things like self-promotion.
I don't want to be unkind to her, but
no. But at the same time, these people who literally live through their kids on faceache. It's just constant picture after picture after picture. It's just like, and you kind of want to just say to them that you do realise you're just basically providing a softcore library for pedos, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly what you're doing.
Because my girlfriend has a lot of photographs of our friend, and my Facebook account is getting in this way.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand having the pride in your children. I absolutely get that, but I think I would rather keep those photographs to myself.
Do you know what I really, really hate? Office workers who have a picture of their family and their kids like on a
printed on a cup.
Mug. They are just
the
biggest cunts in the whole world.
Yeah, that actually makes me want to hate them more. That is very annoying. And also the people who complain that it's too fucking cold when it's absolutely fucking mafting. You know, you're like, oh, I can't fucking breathe, and they're like, oh, I'm fucking breathing, I am.
What is it with people and thermostats?
Thermostat says...
Why can't people just leave thermostats alone?
Yeah.
Like, leave the fucking thing alone.
Yeah, if you're
Don't
cold...
press it 12 times a day.
Yeah, and also, if you're cold, put a fucking jumper on.
Yeah, don't mess with the fucking thermostat.
Yeah, don't spoil it for every fucker else just because you feel a bit fucking nippy.
You know, it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
This is work. You know, this is the real side of work.
Yeah.
Not, you know.
Now, if you're working from home, fuck about with the thermostat all you like.
Yeah.
You know, fill your boots. Use the fucking bidet if you've got one.
It's a shame that we don't have the video technology of 2030 in 2020.
Yeah.
Because but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if by 2030 there had been some home working revolution, you know, or some boost in video technology. I wish I had shares in Zoom at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, shares in Zoom. And that's the thing, Zoom came out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Through this pandemic. They came out of fucking nowhere, and now everyone's using Zoom, despite the fact that Skype has been there for ages and works just fine.
Yeah.
It's like our lot now. We were doing things via Skype. Now we do it through. Now, for some arbitrary reason, we have to use Microsoft Teams. Why? Teams is bollocks. Skype's fine.
I actually prefer Teams, actually.
Well, you would.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I don't know, Teams is a bit. You can see. I think the boxes are a bit clearer on there. Teams, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen them both. And they're not significantly different enough, in my opinion, to warrant switching.
Yeah.
You know, and Zoom's the same. You know, I had to fuck about with Zoom when I had my speed awareness course. That was a good one. Yeah, I didn't like admitting that one. Yeah, I had to do a speed awareness course, and then they started, because of COVID, they decided to do it through Zoom, and it's actually not a bad thing because they condensed like an 8-hour thing down to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. That is a real good, and it was even better because I just thought, right, well, because for some reason my laptop, the camera on it, even though it has a webcam quite clearly, doesn't detect that it has a webcam. Even though there's an app installed, it says we cannot find your camera. It's just like, right, fuck you then. So I did all this on my phone, and I thought, right, in that case, I'm going to get comfortable. I did it whilst laid in bed. Yeah. She's just this fucking, just holding the phone above me, and just kind of like, yeah, whatever. You know, haters gonna hate. So that was fun. So that was one thing I enjoyed doing from home. I certainly wouldn't have liked to have met up in a dingy fucking hotel that has a little shitty conference room that's always way too hot. But anyway, and there's always that moment where everyone looks around, you know, the instructor will look around the room and expect someone to fucking say something, and it's just like, no, we don't care, just fucking tell us the answers so we can fucking go home. Yeah. That's always, I really don't care, you know. Anyway, bit off topic, as usual.
Well, no, it's not that off topic, because we've been talking about, it is, without a shadow of doubt, it would be a wonderful legacy of coronavirus if we had a generation of home workers.
I think people's general mental health, on average, would go up. You know, it would be better.
Management breathing down your neck all the time.
And I do hate that. There's nothing worse than an overbearing boss. That's the worst kind of colleague. Is the overbearing boss who won't give you 5 fucking minutes without popping up over your shoulder. How are you getting on? Why haven't you done that yet? Because I don't fucking want to. Doris, fuck off. Leave me alone, Doris. You know? But yeah, that Where were we at the beginning of it all? Oh yes, mentioning the thing about face ache with pictures of kids and whatever. I want to move on to the thing I was talking about earlier on. Right?
So this is about a Netflix series you've seen.
It's a one-off, I think, Netflix special. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit tired at the moment. Shall we save that for the next episode, or do you want to really do it now?
Oh, we can do it quickly. We'll do it quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to touch on this because it's absolutely fucking appalling, and I think people need to know about it.
I've not seen this series, but from what Fred tells me,
I haven't actually watched it because I think I would probably end up gouging my eyes out with a fucking spoon. But basically, there's this thing on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's on American Netflix or if it's on British Netflix, whatever. But it's certainly on there somewhere, and it's called Cuties. Now, this is it focuses on a dance troupe, a female dance troupe, and they do all the the twerking, the shaking the bottom, etc. And there's lots of gratuitous close-up shots of the Aris and crotch shots and bras and this, that, and the other, and then you realise that these females that are doing this dancing are around 11 years old, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely fucking awful.
You have to wonder, from what you tell me, it sounds astonishing.
I'll show you where I found out about it as a YouTube channel, and this is where I found out about it, and she did like a review of it, the YouTube channel called ShoeOnHead. I'm a big fan of Shoe. She's really funny, and she's always got a good hot take on things. But she actually did. It was one of those where I'm watching it and telling you what's happening so you don't have to. And even just by the descriptions alone, I was starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit. It was absolutely rank. And at one moment, she's telling you that one of the lasses takes her top off and she has nothing on under the top. So it's like bare breasts, I guess. This is basically softcore kiddie porn.
Yeah.
I couldn't fucking believe my fucking ears.
Yeah.
They showed some clips. She showed some clips, but they were censored over the stuff that you definitely don't want to see. But you can definitely tell that what she is describing is actually what's happening behind the censoring.
So this is on Netflix, yeah?
Yeah, Cuties. I believe it's actually originally it was French. So I'd have to watch it again to find out, but I'll try and put a link in the description to Shue's video, because it is worth watching that as opposed to the actual thing. But it may well have been French, because there was they showed an alternate title called, and it was in French, called Mignon, which I was always, I think filet mignon. But, but I don't know. But anyway, that's what it was called, and. But yeah, Cuties in English, and it just sounded so fucking appalling and outrageous.
It sounds very, very uncomfortable watching.
Yeah, but the mad thing is, loads of people were online, especially on Twitter, defending it, saying that basically having a go at anyone who was a naysayer on this. Piece of filth, basically, calling, basically saying that you're just a right-wing boomer or whatever. But it's like, no, I would rather be a boomer than a fucking pedophile.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I must say, it does. This kind of very, very hypersexualized imagery. Being aimed at the younger audience, obviously, and the kind of pop stars and things.
You mentioned earlier on. You mentioned Little Mix, didn't you? The band, the girl band Little Mix. But then my counter to that was, the point is though, Little Mix themselves, the ladies involved, they are adults. They are not themselves children.
Well, that also leads me on to thinking. Yeah, but I've also. What was I about to say?
Sorry, I fucked you up there.
I was thinking of
hypersexualized. etc.
So the companies that promote these TV programs, these, this kind of music, this imagery, these companies have. I should really save this for another longer episode because we don't really
touch on it and then
touch on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Cuties is in this kind of ballpark, but it sounds like it might be.
Yeah.
There's this whole idea of that gratuitous sexploitation is not actually gratuitous and exploitative. It's actually empowering and feminine. Am I along the right lines?
Yeah, a lot of that came up with
with
the counters to the people defending it,
but
also with the things levelled at Cuties in particular. I think one of the main reasons why people were so quick to leap to the defence of it was because the director just happened to be the gold standard of the sort of extreme left-wingers, the people who we fucking despise, because that director just so happened to be female and black.
Right.
Literally, bang, gold standard. You can do no fucking wrong.
Did she have one leg as well?
More than likely, and was also Mexican and whatever.
Yeah.
No,
but I've not seen the program. I don't think I've even heard of it until you mentioned it.
Well, hopefully, I don't know if it's still on there. Hopefully, it's been took down. To be honest with you,
for a long time. But I will say this: it's like the thing that annoys me. And I don't know if Cuties is in this department. It annoys me this nonsense that's spoken about exploitative sex work. This mythology has entered the culture where a lot of this exploitative sex work, it's not actually exploitative. It's, if you're a woman, it's empowering. So say for example prostitution, for example.
Yeah.
This notion that prostitution is somehow a choice or it's exploitative, bollocks. I mean, it's nonsense. But we can probably save that debate for a longer.
Yeah. The only sort of the TLDR rebuttal that I would give to that is that it rather depends on the price point and where you're getting them, if you get me. If you're picking them up on a street corner on some fucking waste ground, then yeah, maybe that's exploitation. But the sort of the higher end of things, the so-called escorts, probably not so much. That is more of a do it because I love it kind of thing. I would imagine. I think it all does come down to the price point, if I'm honest with you.
Right. I've not thought about that.
It's like I think there's kind of a class system. Right. You'll get your high end, your escorts and all that lot, and then you'll go down to your streetwalkers, and then then you'll go down to a brothel.
Yeah.
And then you'll go down to a streetwalker.
The kind of thing that I'm describing. I'm again, it's very late, and we're coming to the end of the episode, so we don't have to go this. But
do prostitutes get furlough? I wonder.
No.
Just a random thought.
The low ones. Oh, actually,
they absolutely should.
The curb crawl, the women who work the streets at night.
Yes.
No.
Because
their men, their clients, the Johns they'd have to break curfew, break lockdown rules in order to
get close enough.
Yeah. And equally,
unless they can just stand 2 meters away and have a wank and throw it at them.
I'm not even sure that women would. I'm not even sure that women would be allowed to walk the streets during lockdown, would they?
That sounds quite draconian, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, but I think the thing that I'm thinking of is like I'm trying to think of I wish I could think of a really, really good example. It's like Channel 4. It specialises in these programs which claim to be empowering, but are actually just excuse me, titillation.
I suppose it all started out with the poking the weird and the wonderful, or fun at the weird and the wonderful, like Eurotrash used to do in the 90s, if you remember that.
Yeah, but then idea,
that was just basically, look at the funny foreigners, oh no, and by the way, as a free gift, here's a pair of tits.
Well, Eurotrash was basically shit TV for people who were drunk coming home from the pub with kebabs to watch. That was
absolutely.
it. But that idea has kind of spread through the culture and become a different beast entirely. It's this notion that, you know, if you're a woman or a young woman and you're getting into prostitution, porn industry, lap dancing, you know, sex line work, you know, these things, it's not actually
just general sex work.
It's you're empowered. You're a woman. You're you know, is it bollocks? It's total bullshit. But anyway,
I think there probably is. There probably is. It's a two-edged sword. I think there is part of it that, you know, I think it comes down to an individualistic level. If that individual lass says, I find it empowering, then fair enough. You can't argue with that because that's how they feel. But at the same time, if they're doing it purely to fund their heroin habit, then probably not so much. I'd say that's the big weather vane there. Is the reason behind it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so that was fun.
Yeah.
But thank you all for listening in once again. Eventually, maybe we might actually get a proper regular schedule at this thing.
Yeah.
Because it's getting way too hit and miss,
Yeah,
and my laptop's been fucking up.
Maybe we can experiment with videoing it once. Or you're not keen on that idea?
I'm okay with videoing it as long as we have a neutral background where you can't tell where the fuck we are.
No, but I think I might imagine in my head we'd be at a table or something and we'd have hoodies on and a couple of beers.
Yeah, well, maybe not a hoodie. I don't know. Maybe, like, you know, with some proper professional microphones rather than just putting my phone in between the pair of us and speaking. But yeah, I think if we had a bit more of a professional setup, that would actually be a good thing. We'll explore that,
right.
And then people can get to see the face behind the bollocks. So anyway, well, thank you once again, guys, and we hope to bring you some more content ASAP.
Yeah, thank you for listening to the latest episode. It's really appreciated. It's been a long one, but hopefully it's been a good one as well. I think it has.
I think we've raised some good points anyway.
Yeah,
okay, all right, well, let's all stay safe and just carrying on.
Yeah, stay safe out there.